Hi everybody, this is Mike from RGBHQ and this is our review of the HP ZBook G3 mobile workstation, which is a bit of a mouthful. This is the laptop in question. I've had this on review for about 4 or 5 weeks now and been trying to compare it to my regular work laptop, which is a MacBook Pro 15-inch. It's the first time I've used a Windows machine as a digital content creation laptop. I've got workstations, but I just want to see how a PC laptop compared to the Mac in terms of just day-to-day use and whether it was capable. And to cut to the chase, yes it is. It's very capable. It's a really good machine. This one has a Intel Xeon E3-15OM at 2.8 GHz with 16 GB RAM, 512 gig SSD, and it's running a NVIDIA Quadro M1000M with 4 gig of RAM. So it's a useful bit of kit. It's also £800, £700 to £800 cheaper than the equivalent Mac laptop, so there's that to bear in mind. So where does it stack up to against the Mac? In terms of the build quality, Apple's still slightly ahead, but it's also £700 or £800 more expensive. But having said that, this is a really nice metal enclosure. I've got a slight issue with this rubber foot for putting in and out of bags and etc. But there's a lot of vents, which is good. And more importantly, we've got a full range of ports. We've got USB, we've got Ethernet, 2 USB on that side. On this side, another USB, HDMI, 2 Thunderbolts, and a headphone jack. And we've also got a SD card slot where the SD card actually recedes all the way instead of sticks out annoyingly. The surface, I think it's magnesium surface. It's actually, I find it more pleasant than the Mac. It doesn't have that horrible edge that you get on the MacBook Pro, which you can dig in. The keyboard is lovely. I'm just going to switch it back on. Nicer than the Mac, a bit more springy. I find it easier to type on. And also we've got a home, page up, and an N key, which you don't realise you miss until you've got the Mac. It's also got really cool features, which I'm going to try and get this to work. If I use the right finger. Oh. There we go. A Fingerprint Reader, which is more, again, it's a gimmick, but it's a nice gimmick. It works well, gets me in and out, and, you know, it's nice. I don't need it, but again, it's quite useful and it's secure. The trackpad, it's okay. You can switch it on and off, which I quite like, just by a double tap, because you really need to use a mouse with this for the majority of content creation apps. I mean, just generally, trackpads aren't all that. The trackpad on the Mac is better by a country mile, but this one is absolutely serviceable for just general use. The screen is a 4K screen, and also it's non-reflective. Again, it's one of those things that you didn't realize you missed it until you had it again. I'm so used to the Mac and just pumping up the brightness, but with this, I was actually able to use it, and you suddenly realized even though the Mac is bright, the reflections still got in the way, and you were constantly moving out the way. The viewing angles are okay. It's not as bright as I would like, but it's actually a more useful screen because it can work in more light environments because it is non-reflective. I'd also been slightly wary because of the 16:9 ratio of the screen as compared to the 16:10 of the Mac. But because this is a 4K screen, you suddenly realize that that is just me being a complete idiot. The way that the window scaling works with a lot of apps, you know, it's still an awful lot of pixels that you're getting vertically, and apps like Cinema and Maya especially, do scale really, really well with the window settings. So you're not missing out on stuff, and actually you're actually getting quite a bit more screen real estate than you would on the Mac. I've since gone back to try doing switching apps on the Mac in terms of the resolution, but the way that the HP handles it just natively is an awful lot better. Got really good Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all the bits and pieces like that. The only thing that I've really had any issues with has been the power. On the On the power, this is a great workstation. It really is. It's small, it's portable, it can run Maya at 55 frames a second. In all the benchmarks, it was performing really well against the Mac. The only one that was a slight issue was with Modo, but I think that's more to do with the way that Modo is optimized for the various cards at the moment. The one that was an absolute killer, considering the majority of Apple is to do, Apple's promotion is to do with video, etc., is Premiere. This is a brilliant Premiere machine compared to the Mac. We did our test of running 6 4K streams, compressing that down with Media Encoder, and this machine did it in 186 seconds. The Mac took 400 and a lot, 426 seconds, which is ridiculous. And also, the UI in comparison with Premiere, I was actually able to use Premiere on this machine while I was running with those 4K streams. On the Mac, it was really slow. It was not working as well. It was grinding. It took a long time to just do anything. But this was a really, really nice Premiere machine. And again, with the 4K screen, you get a lot of timeline. Battery life, though, isn't great. We got 1 hour and 6 minutes of running it on our main Maya test spinning, and again, 1 hour and 6 seconds isn't great. I've yet to try that on the MacBook Pro, but I'm going to be putting the result of that test here. The other thing is when it was off the power, even though it said it was running on the NVIDIA Quadro, the frame rate just dropped right off. It was like 1 or 2 frames per second compared to 55 when it was running with Maya, which just isn't acceptable, really. I've been able to get it to work when I've been out and about, but it's been really hit and miss, especially without the double whammy of not having any power and not having an internet connection. It just freeze and start up, or it'll lock up, and then I put it back in my bag once and the battery just absolutely died on me and it just made it a brick. It doesn't have the ability of just chucking it in and out that you do with the Mac, and also the Mac does have much better dedicated graphics switching between the GPU and the Intel graphics, so so you get the power. It just accelerates up and down a lot better. So if you were going to be somebody who runs off the battery a lot, I wouldn't look at this machine. I would still say you're potentially better with a Mac, or maybe there are other PC laptops that can handle that better. But in terms of a machine with a discrete GPU inside, anecdotally, I've not heard of anything where that works on the Windows side, which is a shame. But overall, this is a really good machine. If you're going to remain plugged in and are using this just as a small workstation at home, it really is great. It's expandable even by swapping out the drives inside, or you've got enough ports with Thunderbolt and USB 3 that you can stick hard drives in. The Quadro is really useful. Obviously, if you're going to be doing things like Octane and Redshift and stuff, this is a starter machine, but you know, if you're looking at that kind of investment, you're going to be looking at a laptop anyway, or you could use this to drive your workstation laptops. As an overall capable, competent workstation, this would get my vote over a MacBook Pro at the moment. If you need to run off the battery, then it's a different equation, but if you just need a laptop that you just want to run, that you want to spend some money on, you want it decent, and you don't need to worry about it again, I don't see how you could go wrong with this machine. It's been a real pleasure to use, and I'm really going to miss it, especially that keyboard. I wish I could have this keyboard on every single machine that I own. But if you have any more questions about the HP ZBook G3 mobile workstation, that's not right. The HP ZBook G3, I'm pretty sure it's an HP ZBook Studio G3 mobile workstation. Then leave your comments below in the YouTube feed and we'll get back to you. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this and hope to do more of these videos as and when we can have the time. I'm sorry that RGBHQ has been a bit slack recently. Life is getting in the way slightly, but when we do stuff, we want to be as honest with you as we can be, so I would rather take the time and get you a reasonable review rather than just a blast here's a press release. So if you got any more questions, again, let me know. And this is Mike from RGBHQ, and I'll speak to you soon.